He is a Bassmaster Open winner, a Bassmaster Classic Qualifier, an Elite Series Pro from Manny, Louisiana. Darold Gleason joins me this week on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Well, it must be Wednesday because here I am once again back in your life. Welcome one, welcome all. Friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks. You're all welcome here at the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. I hope you're all having a great week. You are halfway through your week, and for many, many people, this is a very, very special Wednesday. Not only is this the 118th Wednesday that we've got together and talked on this show, this is also the Wednesday that, and there's only one of them all year long. It is the Wednesday that ICast kicked off. That's right. ICast kicked off this morning, and many of you might be wondering, what in the world is ICast? Well, I'm going to answer that for you. ICast is the big fishing industry trade show where everybody from all the grand poobahs, all the big wigs from the fishing industry get together. They release the brand new lures, the brand new line, the brand new rods, reels, tackle boxes, electronics, trolling motors, coolers, sunglasses, anything to do with fishing. It gets released at ICast. And for many people, it's a trade show, so it's industry only generally. But many of you, the only thing you see from ICast is a bunch of videos of different pros in your feed that start off with, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. Welcome to ICast 2023. Let me show you the new latest and greatest this." There's a lot of those videos floating around, and there will be for the next little while. But it's also a cool time of year because if you ask me, that's one of the coolest aspects about the sport of fishing, that it doesn't really change whether you're a 5-year-old just getting into the sport or you've been doing it for 50 years. That collector in you, that wanting to fill your tackle box, that wanting to get a bait that nobody else has, it never goes away. I mean, I remember when I first got into fishing. I mean, when I first got my first, real tackle box, and I wanted to fill it. I mean, I wanted to fill all the holes. That was my goal in life, to fill all the holes in the tackle box. And what I would do is, I'd put one in each hole. And when I got the tackle box full, I was like, wow, I've made it. And then, I started putting multiple baits and spots and stuff like that. But you never, ever stop that search for the next latest and greatest bait. And it's a fun week because of that. Because, and I'll be honest, there's times where I'm like, okay, I've been to ICast. Been going to ICast for... I've been going to ICast for 25 years, I think, now. Wow, that's a long time. But I'll be honest, there's been ICasts I've been to where I was like, it doesn't get better. I mean, this is as good a lure as we can make. This is as good a reel as we can make. This is as good a rod. Line doesn't, you know what I mean? We're tapped out. How does it get better? But year after year, I show up in that building and there is stuff that blows me away. So enjoy the creative outlet that ICast is. It is very cool and very frustrating for some people because, to be honest, like I said, it's kind of a trade-only show. I did hear a rumor that they were opening it to public on Friday, but that was a rumor, so I don't know if that is true or not. But basically, it's a trade-only. It's where your local fishing shop goes to buy the baits, to find out about the baits. But it's become so public with the media end of things. Sometimes people get frustrated because a brand new bait comes out and they want it, but they can't get it till that fall. So just relax. Baits are coming. Check them out and fish them first. Here's the other thing. I love how every ICast I'll see, and it's not just the companies I work with. It's all companies. But you see a new bait released, and through the comments, you will hear just a ton of people be like, "A fish will never eat that. This won't work. That won't." Let the fish judge, because some of the things that literally, I remember, I swear to you, this is the truth. I remember being at an ICast when the very first chatterbait was being run through a tiny kid's swimming pool. And there was a lot of people who said, yeah, that's too aggressive, too much thump. That'll never work. And now Every single company makes one of those. So let the fish judge the baits, because that's ultimately what matters. I mean, there's been baits that I've been like, they're gonna smoke this, and if they don't, I don't like it. But if they do, I do like it. And when you think about it, that's actually the first 15 minutes you use a bait. Oh, it's real important. When you think about it, you buy that new bait and you want that bait to work, right? I mean, you go out and you are tied on the night before, you're ready to go. You fire that bait out, you're expecting to get bit on the first cast. If the fish are on fire the first 15 minutes you fish that bait and you catch multiple fish, you fall in love with that bait forever. But if the fishing just happens to suck those 15 minutes, and that bait goes in a different section of the tackle box. So what I'm saying is let the fish judge, and maybe give them more than 15 minutes. This week's show, now a lot of podcasts have gone to sleep this week because of iCast. We couldn't let you down. We had to have a show, and we've got a good one. And this is one I've wanted to do for a while, because Darold Gleason, our guest this week, is truly one of the good guys in the industry. He is, and even before he was on the Elite Series, he was just the kind of good, caring person. Has a lot of people cheering for him. When he made the Elite Series, there were so many people excited to see him there. When he fished his first Classic, so many people excited to see that. He's just a good person. And a lot of times in the podcast world, we get stuck only kind of talking to who won the last tournament. Now, Darold Gleason is having a great season on the Elite Series. He's in contention right now to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic. This is his best season on the Elite Series to date, which is 3 events left to go. But it hasn't always been that way for Darold. And one of the cool things about this podcast is he agreed to be really open and really honest about struggles he's faced and situations he's been in and situations he's overcome, because to him, it's just all part of the learning process. And I think you're going to enjoy this one. I know I did. So without further ado, he's normally from Manny, Louisiana, but right now he is styling and profiling, rolling around in the motorhome somewhere in New York, I believe. Let's join Darold Gleason. Darold Gleason, I appreciate you taking some time off the water to join me in the camper, and it looks like a well-appointed camper indeed.
Yeah, man, this is like our little home on wheels. I feel like we spend more time here the last few years than we do in our actual home. But yeah, Mama's done a bunch of remodeling here to make it look even prettier. But yeah, dude, up at Champlain, got on the water yesterday, caught a few smallmouth, and got soaking wet trying to get off because I stayed a little too late. And it's a little gentle rain here today as well.
How important is that camper lifestyle to you? Like, I think there's some people who just do it, but it feels like, and totally throwing a shot in the dark here, but it feels like it's a big part of your existence. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't be the same person in a hotel. Am I reading that right?
You're 100% reading it right. So the camper thing started in 2020 during COVID. I was doing the FLW tour. Yeah. And they like world paused for 2 months, and we're sitting at home trying to figure out how we're going to travel safely. My wife, if you don't know, was born with a lung disease called cystic fibrosis. So COVID was like one of those like very scary things, probably more so for me than her. You know, it's very scary. So we're trying to look at how we could safely travel. And so that's really how it happened. Now, secretly, as a child, I loved camping. Like, I'd go camping every year, like during deer season, things like that. Much rougher than this, usually tents or whatever. But so I kind of always like wanted to try doing that fishing. And so it kind of forced our hand into doing it. Like, literally a week before we left to go to Chickamauga, we went and bought a camper. Neither of us ever drove one, pulled one, stayed in one. And, you know, like most things in life, you roll with it and figure it out. But dude, it's been awesome because it's like, it's not like you're gone. Last year, we were gone 10 months on the road. Yeah. And that's a long time to be gone, dude. But, you know, I have my wife here. I have my dog here. So I don't know. I'm 41 years old, man. I don't want to be sleeping in hotels and doing that, toting clothes back and forth, that whole renting VRBOs, never knowing what parking's going to be like, or, you know, I don't know. It's fun. Yeah, I do enjoy it. Like I love the lifestyle. We have some downtime, like it's easy to like chill for a few days. But even like simple stuff, like when I get off the water, I don't go run down a meal. Like we can have a home cooked meal. We can throw something on a grill. I don't know. There's just something to that. It makes it feel a little bit more normal than what this lifestyle can be, because this lifestyle is anything but normal.
See, I didn't think you had only been doing it a few years for whatever reason. Again, I'm just assuming, but for whatever reason, I just assumed there's a guy who's camped for years. How hard was it? I always toy around with like throwing my family in the family truckster and doing some big trip, but I'm always like, I don't know how to pump out the crapper or any of the stuff that comes along with. I mean, you must have had some train wrecks along the way. No, if you literally just jumped into it at a last second decision like that.
Yeah, we've had a few instances, and like what's crazy with this is, I am not mechanically inclined. Like I can barely like change a tire, right? Like I wasn't gifted with that in life. So there's been a few challenges here and there. Like the worst one, dude, is we had. So when you buy a camper, a lot of times they don't come with the greatest tires.
Okay.
Like you don't think about that. I just spent a lot of money on a camper.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tow it everywhere. You think it'd come with really great tires. So our biggest, craziest thing was headed to Pickwick, our first year on the Elites. And we had a blowout between Little Rock, Arkansas and Memphis, which is like not a great place to have a blowout. Really nowhere to get on the side of the road. And my wife actually pulls the camper and I pull my boat. And so when this happens, she calls, "Oh, guys, had a blowout. I'm pulling over." Well, like by the time I get stopped, I'm a mile ahead of her. So I had to back up my truck and boat down the shoulder of, I believe it's I-40. And it took me like 25, 30 minutes to back up that mile. It's like the scariest thing on earth with all those like 18-wheelers like so close. And we literally had to sit on the side of the road 2-3 hours because there's no ditch to pull off in. There's nowhere to get. And when the blowout occurred, it grabbed all the wiring for like the living room and kitchen and wrapped around the axle. So all you see is like this pile of wires everywhere. So it's, me, her, and the dog sit in the shade for a while trying to contemplate. Every time I'd get up there and try to work on it, like a few trucks would come by so close that she was like, nope. And so honestly, we ended up we had called a couple tow trucks and they were coming, but they never showed up.
Yeah.
And so we ended up like, let's call state police, see what we should do. And a awesome trooper came and like kind of got behind us a little bit, cut his lights on, got people out of the way and helped us manage the situation. He even knew a great tow truck company to call. And but what's wild, dude, is like because all those wires, like they were trashed. Like, so we limped down the road that night and we slept with no power, no water that night, none of that stuff, luckily we stayed at a campground, had like a little bathhouse. So like you roll through this stuff, right? It's like being in college again. You go to the bathhouse, you leave your slippers on, all right? Leave the flip-flops on in the shower. But we rolled through the night, and like that evening, we spent some time looking for somewhere to repair it. We found this awesome place at Pickwick. Next day, we kind of limped to Pickwick. Took them 4 or 5 hours. I literally worked on tackle in my boat while they were over there rewiring a whole entire camper, and like just roll on. Like since then, there's been a few little things here and there, dude, but most of our life has been like just a giant whirlwind and you just kind of roll with stuff. But yeah, like anybody could do this. I guess I'd say that. My wife, prior to us doing this, she couldn't even back up my truck and boat. And now she's driving a 40-foot camper down the road. So wow. Adaptability, right? If you're going to be a pro fisherman and be married to a redhead, you got to be very adaptable in life. So most of it we pick up on. And now, look, honestly, now if something breaks, it's serious. Usually, Gerald and his wife are nearby, and Gerald can fix anything. He actually loves it. He comes over sometimes and opens the door, it creaks. He goes and gets a screwdriver and comes back and fixes stuff. So there's a lot of handy folks around you, you know what I mean? So you just kind of let them do their thing.
I feel you there, dude. Like on the not being handy, I am not at all. And it's something that I avoid most of my life. But when you get in that situation, you're like, I'm such an idiot. Why don't I know how to do this? But guys like Swindle really, he is a jack of all trades, really. Like,
my wife started calling him the janitor because he can literally fix anything, like anything. And they make it look easy. So like guys like us feel like like not a man because they're over there like doing it all so easy. And I'm like, well, I can cook real well. What about that, bud?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
here's what it is.
I always figure if the world ends, we're screwed, or at least I am. I mean, what can I do? I will announce something for you. It becomes Walking Dead days. I mean, nobody's going to be looking for the loud guy that can announce things. I'm actually probably a detriment to most tribes surviving.
I think they would probably like you'd be one they would pick high on the list though, because you're least likely to survive. So like they would like pick you like, hey man, let's save you just so you can sit on your little island and do nothing. Yeah, I'd be in the same boat though. Like we done Bass did the zombie apocalypse little question thing like for social media. And Gerald's one of the guys I picked. I'm like, he's really funny and he's resourceful and he can hunt. He'd be perfect.
You're surrounded by a lot of them, Gerald, Paul, and like, dude, all the survivors are literally live on your street when you're camping. I mean,
think about Carl.
Oh,
throw that dude on the island, and I mean, he'll run circles around it before lunchtime the first day there, and can survive on anything. So, yeah, dude, like our little, and there's a bunch more like families that camp. We have like our little trailer hood group that goes around the country, and we don't always end up at the same spots, but often we do. And man, the biggest thing for me too, like with all the comfortability of the whole thing, is also like it's just different when you know your wife's like at a campground with like-minded folks all day, and she can go walk the dog and walk and cook, and there's people around versus her crammed in a hotel, or some random neighborhood. Like, I don't know. It's just all around. It's just what we enjoy doing. It's not like a money saver. We're not doing it because it's cheaper or any of that. It just gives you that down home, kind of feel. But if anything breaks, we generally are calling like a mobile repair service. Those are everywhere, by the way. And some dude comes to the rescue. I just got to write a little check. No big deal.
Yeah, and I think it's just a lifestyle thing. Like you said, like being cramped in a room. I mean, you're coming back to the bed you're used to sleeping in. Your shirts are hanging where you normally hang. And I think once you do that, I would assume once you are a camper, like to become a camper, to go back, the adjustment would be like, how much stuff would you have to bring now? Like you'd perpetually be forgetting stuff, I would imagine.
100%. And that's the other thing too, like this transitioned into being like some of my, like I carry some of my tackle in the camper, some extra rods, things like that. So last year, we done the elites and all the opens. So it was a big time travel deal. And I think it was after Chickamauga Elite, we had a truck issue. So on her truck, not mine. And so she had to stay behind, and I went to the James River Open by myself, and which I didn't like, and ended up having to rent a little yurt. You ever stayed in a yurt?
Well, like a yurt is a round building, right?
This one was like a little triangle kind of building, but basically it's like a wooden tent it had a bed, an AC unit, and a small fridge, and that's it. And even like there wasn't even a blind on the door. So like I took duct tape a towel. So like creepers in the campground couldn't just watch me sleep at night. Again, public shower house. So go with the flip flops. But dude, even that ended up being kind of fun because there's the particular campground I was in, a bunch of the dudes in the opens who I've done the opens for years. So I got a lot of good friends, but like a bunch of those guys there with their truck campers. Like every evening we would just congregate around someone's grill and do like just a few bags of chips and like hot dogs and hamburgers or like chicken wings or whatever. So that was kind of a throwback to the days. It reminded me how great I have it now in the camper because doing your own laundry, toting clothes back and forth, all your tackle unloading and all that stuff back at like, I don't miss that life. I don't want to go back to that, to be honest. I only want to do it this way and no other way, like at all.
How much does it cost to rent a yurt?
It was actually pretty affordable. I forgot.
I would imagine so.
$25 a night or something. It was actually pretty comfortable though, man. It wasn't that bad, dude. Trust me, I've stayed in much worse. Like coming through the opens, very early on, I decided to do the tent camping thing. And it was like first week of April at Table Rock. And I literally brought a sleeping bag, an extension cord, and my phone charger. Like, that's it.
Wow.
And the first night it got down to like 35 degrees. And I woke up at like 11 and like put some jeans on over my shorts and like put a long sleeve shirt on. Then I woke up at 1 and literally put on my Gore-Tex that I was wearing to fish in.
Wow.
And like by the morning, it was like that movie. I see dead people. You could see my voice, like see my breath. Like I was like, yeah, but like lesson learned, right? If you're going to do that, you might want to bring a heater or something. So I kind of did it all coming up through the opens, but I had a good buddy I roomed with a lot, and we did hotels and rentals and all that. And that's fine. But like, I don't know. Look, I mean, I barely cut it on, but I got a big TV and like big stove. Like this is just the way to go. It's
definitely. I mean, I think you're selling people just looking at your setup there.
It doesn't suck, especially like today it's raining and all that. So I kind of sleep in, watch TV in bed, do breakfast. I mean,
yeah. No, it sounds much better. When did this whole dream start for you, dude? Like were you a little kid when you said, man, one day I want to fish for a living? Or like, what age were you when you said, hey man, this is an obsession, an itch that I have to scratch?
So like the tournament part of it started much later in life for me. Actually, when I was dating my wife in college, her dad was getting into fishing a little bit. And so that was like my first experience. Like we went and fished a few big bass tournaments and some team tournaments and things like that. And then when I got out of college, I joined a bass club. But prior to that, like my love of fishing, dude, was like my dad and family. Like we would do like little creeks and ponds. My grandmother had a pond and I'd ride my bike down there. So like my obsession with fishing started, as just a little kid. Like, and most of that too is just watching a cork, waiting for my popper to go under. And I do remember at like maybe 7 or 8 reeling in like a little bluegill and a bass ate it. And I reeled him in and like I had a Zepco 33, just stripping out. And I remember running up the bank. I like literally was like, and the joke my dad said is by the time I got him in, I ran like 200 yards up the bank. He said that bass had ticks on it from me dragging it through the grass. And just something about that unknowingness, that's something bass fishing has that other species don't to me, as far as freshwater, is that unknowingness each cast. What that tick is gonna mean, what that thump is gonna mean. And it just like captured me, dude. And like I remember my early teenage years riding my bike in the summer. Like I'd get up and ride I'd get up at daylight as a 12-year-old. Who does that? And like ride 3 miles and like go fish this pond all day. And I remember my dad having to pick me up at dark a lot of times because I'd be like pushing my bike home, my little stringer of fish and my tackle box and my 2 poles. And he'd come pick me up. Mom was worried to death about me being gone so long. So my love of fishing started young, but dude, I became obsessed with it when I got out of college. So I just missed out on like all the college fishing. That was just kind of starting. I graduated college in 2004.
Okay.
So I just kind of missed all that stuff. But like I got out and joined the bass club, fished on Toledo Bend and spent all my time at Toledo Bend that I could. We lived around an hour away. And, I don't know. It's like it filled some competitive void for me. Like I played basketball in school and enjoyed playing golf and things like that. But fishing just filled that void for me, dude. And it became an obsession. And like where I live, being an hour from Toledo Bend, an hour and a half from Sam Rayburn, it's like the Mecca down there.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm a little old school in the manner of like I did club tournaments and team tournaments and then kind of graduated, did BFLs and Toyota Series and did the Opens a long time. And I don't know, it was one of the things, like you'll see, like I have buddies, they'll get obsessed over something, whether it's deer hunting, duck hunting, golf. And like for 2 years, that's all they do.
Yeah.
And that's how fishing was, but it wouldn't go away. Like it's just all I ever wanted to do. And I mean, dude, to get what we're doing now, I mean, it was a dream. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I have thousands of buddies who dream about it. Like, I still I can't believe it's my reality now. It's not a dream anymore. It's happening, So I don't know. And it all happened. It feels quick, but it wasn't, dude. Like, I fished the Opens for 10 years before I qualified.
Yeah.
So that's not the definition of quick in this world. But I don't know. It's just something I love. It's hard to explain. I think a lot of the guys, we struggle to explain why we feel this way about it, because you have to give so much to get to where we're at. doesn't always equally give back. You know what I'm saying?
But it's not almost even rational when you lay it out. Like if you try to explain your dream and why you have to, like, it's almost.
Oh, it's not reality. Like when we meet people in campgrounds or somewhere that know nothing about what we're doing, they just see a boat with a bunch of stickers, and you start explaining it. You can see in their face, like, it's the dumbest thing I ever heard of, you know, like, what are you doing with your life? And there's been times where I'm like, you know, I could spend this much time and effort on a lot of things that would probably pay me a lot more money than this does. But dude, I don't know. There's some things in life you just can't put a value on. And for whatever reason, this fills my soul. So I'm going to do it as long as I can.
Well, and you started kind of from what I know, the responsible way. I mean, you went and became a school teacher, correct? Were you a school teacher at one point in your life?
Yeah.
Which amazes me that me and you get along as well as we do, because I have a tumultuous past with school teachers.
I do too. Yeah. I was a bad boy, but for some reason, when I got out of college, so even that route, like, it just kind of worked out. Me and my wife got married like right out of school. Like, we're running down the aisle, dude. We're so excited to get married. And for the area we grew up in, there was not tons of opportunities to like go start this big time career. We grew up very rural, like small town. And school teaching for me was like a way to have like very good, stable insurance and benefits and things. With my wife's health issues, that was money in the bank, dude. It was huge because it was very expensive and still is very expensive for her things, her drugs and things and doctor visits and all that. So that's how it started. And it was weird. Like, I was somewhere, I think I was the fun teacher. If that makes sense. Like, I think, because I was young, I was like 23, 24 when I was teaching school, but I was still like, it's like a kind of a hard ass, which was surprising because I was like the one talking in the back of the room when I was growing up. So, yeah, I liked it. And that's what I say, like old school. It seems like now kids go like high school fishing and go straight to the opens, or they do college and go straight to the opens. For me, I don't know. I just never felt like I wanted to. And I had some buddies that were doing it that you know, being around Toledo Ben and Sam Rayburn, there's always people graduating up and traveling off and, you know, trying their hand at the pro tour, and just seeing some of the struggles some of those guys have, a credit card debt and just the financial burden. I don't know. I just never wanted to be a guy that was setting myself back so far. So I did. I did the school teaching thing 7-8 years. I actually took sabbatical after my 7th year, which is where like you get like a little bit of pay, you take a year off, and you work on your higher education. So I went and got my master's degree. And when I was working on my master's, which I completed, that's when I started my guide business kind of part-time. Okay. And I decided fishing's more fun than teaching. And I actually did finish my master's, but I never went back.
You're done.
Done. Like, I resigned the next year. Thank y'all so much. But you know, that was crucial for me because I had like a career I could go back on. Does that make sense? You ever get rich teaching and all that stuff? Like, you know, like teachers don't get paid what they're worth. And they got to deal with kids like us. It's not fair. But yeah, it's just one of those things like, why not take a chance and do something I love, dude? And I loved guiding on Toledo Ben, dude. Loved it.
How scary was that decision though? Like to step away, especially like you've mentioned several times, the need for insurance, you know, with your wife's health situation, everything. Like, how scary was we're doing this?
Yeah. It was and it wasn't. So, you know, at this point, I'm around 30 years old. I could have got a teaching job anywhere, and I coached a little too. So like, I could have went back and got a job at that point, you know? So it is a little frightening, but there's something, I think most of the pros have it. I don't know that all of them realize they have it, but we have an unending like well of faith.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like, it's not religious for everybody, but we got it to know that tomorrow's going to be okay. I just felt like if I poured my soul into it, it'd work out. And I know if I didn't, I could find something else to do. Like, I knew it'd be okay. But there are definitely some challenges in life adjustments, dude. Like at the time we lived an hour from the lake. So there was a lot of back and forth to the lake. Those first couple of years, man, like, and I still fished a few tournaments as well. But I mean, it was like 300 days on the water kind of stuff. And it was, my golf game really suffered. I didn't play golf for like 6 years, dude. But like, I don't know, it just felt like one of those things. If I really wanted to see where this thing could go, I had to go all in on it. And it started even at the guide level. Like I said, no, I didn't say no to any trip. It didn't matter. You know, if I'd planned to have a day off and do something with my wife, or we're going to go, if I was just going to rest, whatever, and someone called at 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, all right, let's go tomorrow, you know? So I think a lot of the dudes, especially the guide route, it's kind of a hard knock deal. Like you don't say no when you're building it. So it was scary though, because you don't know where stuff like that's going to go. Like I was like waiting by the phone, see if I get phone calls, you know, but you know, like I had fished around Toledo Bend all that time and done team tournaments. And, you know, one of the things Toledo Bend's famous for is we have like our own lunker program. So like Texas, their share lunker thing. Toledo Bend, the local lake association, does a deal. If you catch a 10-pounder, you get a free replica. And I'd caught some 10-pounders and things and got a little press and, you know, did well in a couple tournaments here and there. And so I had like locally, I had like a little bit of it wasn't like I was nobody. If you Googled, you might see me with a fish picture, right? Yeah. And the biggest thing for me though, dude, is like, that was my heyday of Toledo Bend. The grass was good. The fishing was good. And so I got a few opportunities with people, and then like it went well. And that my first year guiding, in 4 months, I caught 3 of those 10s and got like a little pub. And that was like a big kickstart for me, dude. Like, and I've never done that again. And I've never done it before, catching that many 10-pounders. So like, that's when it didn't seem like 10-pounders were raining down all across the country. So some of that stuff gave me a big boost and gave me the opportunity I needed to get people in the boat. And the rest took care of itself, man. Like, I don't know. Those relationships I built with guiding, dude, from like friends and business.
Yeah.
Like my title sponsor come on a guide trip with me. I don't know if you remember this. I fished Bass Fest in 2015.
Yeah, I remember.
I wasn't going to do that tournament. Like I got the invitation to do it, and it was a lot of entry fee money, you know, like, and a week before the deadline, a guy that I went on a fishing trip with, and a guy that owned one of the marinas on Toledo Bend at the time, they didn't know each other, and each one of them split it. They didn't know the other was doing it, but each one of them's like, here's a check, bro. You need to go chase your dream. Like each of them, like, don't pay us back. Don't do anything for us. You're not going to not go try it. And that's how I ended up fishing. I would have never paid. It was $6,000, man. Yeah. And so I did everything in my head by guide trips. There's a lot of guide trips to make that back. And but just stuff like that, though. Those relationships, you know, like I'm still friends with both of them today. Like I've said it to them independently. Like you can't say it enough. Like, wow, like, dude, if they didn't do that for me, because that was a turning point in my whole tournament career, go into that event, competing against those guys. And, you know, I'd had a few little tastes here and there of what this world is like, but dude, you know, that's the one, like Van Dam finished second.
Yeah.
Like, I borrowed some baits from Van Dam in the parking lot. Like he dug everything out of his truck to give me some baits. And like, I met Randall Tharp that week. I shared a fishing hole with Aaron Martins. Like I had to share a school with Aaron Martins. So like, I don't know. That was like, that opportunity that week was like a wow week. And it wouldn't have happened without just 2 random dudes I never would have met, you know, if it wasn't for guiding like I was. So for me, that built everything for me. Like, you know, and now most of my friendships and relationships are with people I met through that. So,
yeah,
you know, I know it's a different route than it seems like a lot of people take now, but.
No, but I think there's a lot of look at Lee Livesey. The whole time you're telling this story, I keep thinking of him because I'm just like, I've been lucky enough to be around him a few times when a bunch, you know what I mean, after a victory or whatever, and a bunch of his friends, and like the stories all start, well, how do you know Lee? Well, we went out with him 10 years ago on Fork, and he caught my dad, his personal, but I think as fishermen, we also forget that connection. Like to go out in a boat, like to golf with somebody for a few hours is one thing, but to go on a boat with somebody, you're out there with them for 10 hours. You know what I mean? Like the things you talk about, the way people open up in a boat.
it all comes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would probably, we'd be a little less rowdy
than Lee's group.
Like we get a little rowdy, but I mean, like not that kind of rowdy, but we'll get a little rowdy occasion too. But I couldn't imagine. Well, when I won the Open at Toledo Bend, like that kind of come out of nowhere. So it wasn't like I had a big group there or anything, but like I come off stage and there's like 20 people around, you know, and we're hugging, high-fiving, crying, all that. And I'm like, everybody, my house, let's go. And we got a little rowdy. No one went to jail, like I'm sure most of
Whoa. I mean, I was associating you and Lee in a nice way. Like you guys are both guides. You both.
Oh, we are. Yeah. And look, I love Lee. Lee would probably agree with what I'm saying. His crowd's a little rowdier than mine. That's why I actually I gave Caleb Summerall up for adoption to Lee, because he was a little rowdier than I was ready to deal with. You know, I like pretty much raised Caleb. And I was kind of like, you can go with Lee now, and I'm gonna go travel with my wife where it's safer. But
I think Lee wants to give him away to Matt Robertson now.
Whoever will take him, you know what I mean? He's a handful, dude. Yeah. We have some good Summerall stories, but no, I mean, it's just something too, like you build that relationship with those people, and then you go on in your career and you end up like, those are the people that are sending me the text after events. Great job. Or even before events. Good luck this week. And I don't know. It's try to see it through their eyes. They saw what I was 7-8 years ago when I was just dreaming about.
Yeah.
It. You know, I was just had a dream. So it's been fun. I wouldn't change. My path is a little different maybe than some, but I think all of our paths are a little different, how we end up out here, you know?
Yeah. To me, that's the cool thing about it. The Elite Series, the coolest thing about the Elite Series, if you ask me, like really that nobody picks apart, is they're all just different stories with the same addiction or same, like something in all of our lives, everybody, even the MC included, you know what I mean? Like something in my life made me want to have to be part of this, you know, and and I just think like, it's amazing how all the stories are different. Like you look at Caleb, who you just brought up, you know what I mean? Like his was just such a weird story in the way that like finding success in fishing also at the same time that he lost his job, you know what I mean? Like it was like one door open where another word, where he never would have, like 2 years before, he never would have thought I'm going to be making that decision, and probably wouldn't have made that decision if it wasn't for something going wrong.
We became pretty good friends right before all that happened, because I remember shooting him a text while he was at that Bass Nation event. I believe it was Hartwell, and the last day I was like, dude, I literally had a dream that night, like, you're gonna win today. I feel it somehow. And we were real close at that point too. And it's cool to see how things work out. But like you're saying, everyone's got a different story, but it seems like we end up in this same fairy tale. And most of us are like, how did this happen? I feel like I fell asleep yesterday, had a dream, and, you know, now I'm in New York scouting for an event, you know, like it's weird. That's how life happens. You just have to kind of be willing to let go of the steering wheel a little bit and like let it go where it may. And anyone that's followed my career, like, you know, it's not without its bumps or, you know, hard times. It ain't like it's been all just gravy or anything, but I don't know. I wouldn't change any of it though, dude. Like there's not a second of my life I think I would change, you know?
I think that means you're living a good life, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like literally to look back and know that all of these things, good, bad, all happen to get you where you are, means you're happy being where you are.
100%.
One thing that stands out about you and your family is that your family. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people chasing dreams in the Elite Series, and there's a lot of families chasing dreams, but I feel like your family, you, your wife, your puppy, I mean, that is a team. Like, it's just, I forget where this line came from, and I consider myself very lucky to be one of those people, but I saw a line once that was like, find somebody who loves you more than you love yourself, or is willing to fight harder for you than you're willing to fight for yourself. Yeah. I feel like you found that somebody. You know what I mean? I feel like your partner, is that what it feels like to you? Like, explain that to me.
100%. Like if I decided tomorrow I wanted to be an astronaut, she'd be researching what I need to do, like, how to do, like, and I was lucky I found her. We actually went to high school together and all that. So like we've known each other since we were like kids, like 15 years old. I met her,
Did you start dating at like 15 or did you not date till later?
That's a weird, we dated a little in high school. Can we leave it at that and just go on?
Oh, you don't want to tell anymore? Okay, that's fine.
No, so we dated. So I tried to date her, and she friend zoned me for a year. Over the summer, I grew into like this sex machine goddess of some sort that she fell in love with, and then she was willing to date me.
Oh,
so I think my junior year we dated, and after about 2 weeks, I like when you're dating in school, you always got to have a reason you're going to break up with a girl, right? Like there's got to be a reason. And I broke up with her after 2 weeks and said, you are your marriage material, not dating material. And she always,
wow.
but then I married her. But she likes to skip that first part where she like friend zoned me. I mean, I remember I wrote her a little letter. Hey, would you like to date me? I really like you. And she responded, you're more of like a brother, like a friend to me. And so like she always skipped that part. So that's why fishing's so easy, dude. I'm one of the guys that like got out of the friend box and somehow got her to date me. And we dated for a little, like this 2 weeks and broke up, but stayed like best friends and secretly loved each other all through high school. And I went to college for 1 semester and I went an hour away, which again, we grew up in a small town. Me moving away an hour was like, 7 states away in our little small minds. But she figured out how to get me, dude. She quit talking to me. Like, because I got a little, not rambunctious, but for me, a little rambunctious. I was, doing what kids in college do when they're freshmen, living it up, man, being wild. And she didn't talk to me for 3 months. And that kind of gave me my time to go act like a fool. Again, a semi-fool. I wasn't that bad, okay? I was not that bad of a kid. But I don't know, dude. I just looked at that after a couple months, like one of those times where you're alone. I'm like, this ain't really what I want to be doing in my life. This ain't that much fun as it seems, and I come home and we started dating. Like I bumped into her at a basketball game. And we started dating that night and that was the end of it, dude. Dated all through college. And like I said, we ran down the aisle to get married and it's been both ways. Like early on out of college, her health issues were deteriorating and pretty rough. And like having that normal 9-to-5 job, dude, it wasn't gonna be in the cards. It just wasn't. Like, like her first job, she ran out of sick leave like 6 months into it. It just wasn't gonna work out. So I talked her into doing, she'd been doing she actually done in college part-time selling Mary Kay cosmetics. Beautifying the women of America is what I like to say she was doing. Yeah. So she was doing that kind of part-time. And I'm like, why don't you just try to do that full-time? Let's see how it goes. And that was like one of those changing points in her life. She started doing it full-time and does very well with it. But more importantly, she was able to, if she needed half a day off or she needed to like a few days in the hospital to kind of get over something, like she was able to do that. So like career-wise, that was huge for her. Mentally for me, it was huge because all I want in life, dude, is more time with her. Like I don't need anything else. I just want us to grow old together. That's my biggest dream, right? So that was one of those times where like I was like, hey, it'll work out. Go do it. And she done it and she kills it, dude. She'd kill it at anything. Then when I decided like, hey, let's get a camper and go on the road and fish professionally, like, okay, let's go. You want to quit your job and guide? Let's go. You want to quit your guide business and go on the road? Let's go. But kind of like you said too, dude, like those of us that have that in life, we look around and we see people going like through divorces and others. I'm like, I feel bad, like seriously bad for them. They ain't found their person, because when you find your person, that stuff isn't even an option. Like,
yeah,
might bury me somewhere or like beat the hell out of me or something behind closed doors, but she ain't going nowhere. Like we're together in everything we do. Yeah. So yeah, so like that drives me even more to do well. at what I do, because it's not just for me. Like I truly just can't imagine like flashing back to me holding that trophy at Toledo Bend when I won the Open, like more so for her. Cause like she don't gripe when I suck. I finished 150th at Open. She didn't like tell me I wasn't a man and she didn't love me. Like she loved me through all that. So succeeding for her is as much as it is for me, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And it makes sense to me even more because I dude, I know how bad you want it. I watch how bad you want it. You know, you can see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, I can see it in her eyes when you idle away from the dock. You know what I mean? But the difference is all that she can do is want it for you. You know what I mean? And support you in so many other ways that I know she does. But but she can't physically make it happen for you. She just wills it for you. And it's almost a worse position to be. It's a harder position to be in. Like I always feel way worse for the family. It's like when an angler, when you have your day, when you're in, you know, contention to win the league, going in the final day, you're going to be focused on catching the next fish.
Yeah.
She's going to be peered over a computer.
Yeah. Click and refresh.
Right. To everybody that she's I mean, it's just but it's true. If you're, I mean, the most important decision you can make in your life is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, because it can
100%.
literally make or break your life. And
100%. And like I see some of the young guys now on tour, like some of them are getting married young and starting families and stuff. And I kind of can see with a few of them, I see like they found their person. They're going to be fine, dude. Yeah. Like the fishing gets easy when you got your person, or whatever else you do in life as a career is easy when you got your person. But yeah, like I would love to know the over under how many times she clicks refresh on Bass Track in a day. Like, you know, she's all in, dude. But again, for me, it's like I'm one of the guys that always has my Bass Track pretty close because
of her.
Hell yeah, like she's in this too. Like now we'll tell you, my first year on tour at Pickwick. So like as a fisherman, my bugaboo, like what I hate, high dirty water, just not my thing. And if you remember Pickwick, like we had to cancel the first 2 days, or postpone the first 2 days. And so you talk about high muddy water. So I go out day one and flail around and don't catch a bass. Like I had one keeper bite, I lose it, end up with a fat zero. And the way the park sets up there, like, you know, we check in. Once you check in, hey, I'm here. First thing I always do is call my wife. How's it look on Bass Track? So I call her that day and she's like, did your Marshall didn't have service? Is Bass Track wrong? And I'm like, nope, I zeroed. And I could see her standing on one of the docks right there near the stage. And everyone's hugging their families and toting their big giant bags of fish up there and all that. And I'm like, hey, go get the truck and go to that ramp at the back. It's like I literally idle by with my head down, you know. So that's one of the days where she was hoping Bass Track was wrong, but it was right. And we loaded up and tucked our tails and went back to the camper. But no, and what's cool too, like for a lot of our events, her mother and her aunt will show up. So a lot of times we got a little posse and they'll sit in the camper or whatever VRBO they're at. They literally, I think literally most of the day they pray. They literally pray like, please let him not suck today. Please let him be safe. Like, you know, so that part's fun. But again, on my end, when I'm out there sucking, I'm focused on what I'm doing. But there are moments in the day, like you're like, come on, you can do this. And I do. I'll say it all the time, like with a Marshall, like put that one in right now. You're gonna make my wife's day, because she's all in on it too, dude. And like so are all the other families and stuff. You know, you get to see it all. Like when you're on the dock in the morning, like it don't matter what happened the day before. Like when we idle out, our family's on the dock, and sometimes even the other families are saying, good luck today, Daryl, or like this whole little group we got, man, you're all in on it or whatever. So yeah, it's fun, dude. It's been the thrill of a life. Like I love it.
Yeah. And there's so many little moments that are huge to people that happen. Like for example, Brock Mosley, the Sunday before he won, or the Sunday that he won in Orange, that he wasn't like, and he didn't look rattled or anything. You know what I mean? He's been in that position a bunch of times. Sure, he wants it, but he really didn't look like he was very content in what's going to happen. But there was something like you could see something was bothering him. Like he kept looking around, and like 30 seconds before the anthem, his wife and two little girls come running down the dock. And all of a sudden he's like, just because you got to see, you know what I mean? It's like, it's part of the routine. Like you have to see them. Do you have a morning routine like that? Do you go through certain things that have to happen before you compete, whether it be superstitious or good luck, bad luck type things?
I would say superstitious for the most part. No, like we wake up, we're early risers, like can't sleep ever before a tournament. Like, but I do coffee at the campground, kind of hang out, do all that stuff. I like to get to the ramp pretty early usually. The one thing I have been doing this year, because often like my wife gets in my boat, she sets my GoPro up. She's my media coordinator. She likes to make sure everything's working. Like I wear a mic. So she does all that. I have got to where this year, about 10 minutes before the anthem, I like to push away from the dock, and I may go talk to a competitor, or I may just float around, talk to my marshal, or just be in my own thoughts. But I do like to get away from the hustle and bustle. Even if I'm a late number, I kind of like to get away. There's something about that to me. That's like kind of my few minutes, like to get there. But I wouldn't say anything superstitious or anything necessarily, but I don't know. Most of it for me, it's like your routine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like to go to the dock. I get to see my wife, see my little puppy Rowdy, and kind of hug on them and kiss them before I go. And then I just like to go in a little space. And that's kind of when the day starts for me, though. Like I feel like competition starts for me when I push away from that dock. Like I'm fully prepared. I'm just waiting on you to say go.
Is that something you started this year?
Yeah.
Because this is, am I right to say this has been your best Elite Series season?
Yeah, by far.
Why?
I've actually, like in some of my downtime, tried to put my finger on it, and I can't explain. I'm not trying any harder. You know, like I've fished my guts out the last few years. I think some of it, like it's my first two seasons didn't go well, dude. There was a lot of there were some highs, but there was just too many lows. I haven't, through my whole career, I've struggled with consistency. I have not been the guy that someone like Luke Palmer or like Brock Mosley seems like they're always in the check line. They're always catching.
Very consistent. Yeah.
Mine's been more peaks and valleys, it feels like. And it just really sucked that one of those valleys come when I get on the elites, right? I've like worked to get there, and I feel like the biggest thing is my confidence level, dude. Like a lot of times practice sucks. I know you get tired of hearing guys say practice sucked for me, but we're trying to look at a ton of water in basically 2.5 days. I'm not trying to catch a lot of fish. I'm just trying to learn a lot. And I felt like maybe the first 2 years I was doing a good job of it, but when I would come in the evening, I'd be like, man, I only caught 7 today. That's kind of sucks. You know, so-and-so says they had 20 and so-and-so had 30 bites. And I was getting a little bit in the suck before the event started. Yeah. Where now, like I only need 1 or 2 bites in an area and I feel good about it. I'm gonna go back there and figure it out, like catch some fish. Like, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. Bigger fish have bit for me. And I've landed them. The first couple of years, I had fish I lost that could have changed everything. Now, everybody loses fish, I feel like, at times. And then other times you can't lose them. Like at Santee this year, I caught a 7-something and a 6-something on a spinning rod around cypress trees, dude. And like literally when you feel the bite, they can go like 8 directions and you're totally screwed. Or they go like 2 directions and you got a chance. And both 2 of them swam out and gave up and let me get them. So I don't know. It's been hard to put my finger on it, but I know a lot of it for me, it's mental, dude. It's confidence. It's mental. Yeah. And I don't want to say like accepting where I'm at in this world of fishing, but I feel like every time I press, like every time I try to go from Darold Gleason to Kevin Van Dam in a day, I got to get bumped back down. Like I just got to go out and fish and do my thing. And I think that's this year. I'm just trying to be me, dude. Just trying to fish, trying to catch everyone I can. At this point in my career, I feel like a win could happen any day from now. Like, that's why I want to make the Classic so bad. I have literally not just dreamed it. I have visualized. Go down this with me. Do you know when the Saints won the Super Bowl? Drew Brees at quarterback. You're a football guy. You remember the iconic photo of him and his little kid?
Yeah.
Confetti raining. I've dreamt that with my dog Rowdy, dude. Like, literally seen his little earmuffs on, confetti raining down. My wife trying to get in the picture. I'm like pushing her out of the way. Like, no, this is all time. I have visually seen that. And at the same time, at the end of last season, being real, dude, I had to have a certain amount of guys retire and not come back, or I wouldn't be here. I'd be back in the Opens trying to make it. And that would have been fine. I'd already made my plans. I was going to do that. But like, at this stage in my career, I have been a bubble guy. Like, you saw this year, I've been around that 50 line almost every event. When I qualified for the elites, I caught a fish on my last cast, listening to Chris Bowes weigh fish by off limits. Literally, last cast, jerked the trolling motor up, fish in hand, idle to check in. That fish got me in a tie for the last spot to get in. Then I had to wait 2 weeks for another event. Like, I'm just not at this stage. I'm not Kevin Van Dam. And I think it's just sometimes, especially being an older angler compared to some of the newer guys coming on, like, I try to press too much. Like, I'm going to get to the top now. I only got a few years. I got to do it now. Instead of just saying, dude, be yourself. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a guy that's fighting for a Classic spot. Like, this version of me would tell the guy 6 years ago, like, dude, one day this is where you would have killed for that. So I don't know, a lot. I know I'm rambling on, but like, a lot of it's just mental. It's a perspective at where you're at in life, being comfortable where you're at in life, and just accepting that you gotta do you, and let's see where it goes. Like, that's what got me here. And I got to get back to doing that and continue doing that.
It's wild because what you're saying is something I've heard in many different ways.
Yeah.
But I've heard it over and over again. I've heard it from Seth Fider. I've heard it from people at all different levels. Like, you have to release caring, but you still care about. Like, it's so hard to even say that because it's something you care so much about.
Yeah.
But
you
have to just relax and let it happen.
But it's so hard to do.
Yeah. And I also think, and I want to know your opinion on this, being an Elite Series rookie makes that almost impossible, because it's weird. And someone like yourself that had, you know what I mean, dude, I knew you for 10 years before you were on the Elite Series. I knew your name. I knew, whether it be from We're Go to Toledo Bend, we hear about you, whether it be from the Opens, whether it be FLW, you were a guy that I feel a lot of people knew in the industry. A lot of people were excited when you made the Elite Series, but I feel like it's a weird thing where you go through and you're like, whoo, I made it. I mean, I've seen that video of you 100 times hugging your wife in the middle of the street, when you realized you guys made the Elite Series. But it's like a weird thing where people are like, okay, I made it. And then they get to the Elite Series and they're like, okay, now it's my opportunity. I got to start hitting some home runs. But those home runs weren't what got you. You know what I mean? Like, it's staying with who you were when you got here is what brings success, but it's so hard to do.
And it's different for each guy. Like, some of the young guys now that come out and just find success immediately, it's like so amazing, like, wow. But that just shows everybody's path is different. You just have to accept yours. But like, you talk about Seth, like, folks that have just started following and like love Seth and follow, they didn't see his first couple years.
Yeah.
They were like, dude, I've been a fan since the Elite started in 2006. I remember being so excited when I saw what was happening. So like, I'm a nerd with all this, and not just Bass. I keep up with FLW and MLF, like all of it, dude. I'm a nerd, and I have been a long time. But seeing guys like Seth, like something like, I don't know. I think there's something for some of us, and it's hard to find parallels between me and Seth. Like, we kind of do different things. However, it's like when you like literally see your dream. And I don't want to say going away, because I believe I was going to go to the Opens and qualify again this year. Like, as a competitor, you got to feel like that was going to happen. But literally, I was like, I mean, I couldn't talk last year when I weighed in on stage. I'm sure you noticed that lacrosse.
Yeah.
I wanted so badly to get up there and thank each one of my sponsors, all those I wanted to do that, not say thank you Yamaha, thank you Phoenix, but like truly, like none of this is possible without them people. And like, I think I got out, I love you all, thank y'all, and walked off because I had to go find my wife so we could cry, because I didn't know when I would get to go across that stage again, dude. And when you make it, it's not like you go, oh yeah, I made it, and then you're going to cruise control down. No, it's like, get out of the way. I'm about to take over the world. I'm about to win, and that's pressure you put on yourself. I never had a sponsor call me, or my wife never said, hey, if you don't start winning tournaments, your world's going to come to an end. So there's just something in there where like, you got to just take your path. Some guys' path immediately, they start kicking butt, and others, you got to take some whoopings, and you got to kind of see it slipping away to, I don't know, you kind of lose that care. I just hope whatever it is that I'm doing, I can keep, because I have not had a good practice yet this year. And like, we got 3 events to go, and I'm like right there for the Classic, like with a chance to make the Classic and do whatever else. So it was really funny you brought up Seth though, because I texted you after, like he's a good podcaster. He does good interviews because he's my favorite thing in fishing. He's authentic. Like
very.
To you, if he met the president of the United States, if he met fans, whoever, that's 100% him. And that's the guys I like and follow a lot. And I just thought some of his perspective on things, like how important it is to the game, like with some of our etiquette and things like that, like just real simple, dude. It's just about honoring the sport. And I wanted to give a shout out to him, for having the balls to just be himself, but saying those things, dude, because I think like our young folks coming up, we have more of those now than ever coming up. They need to understand we spend a lot of time in our boats alone in competition.
Yeah.
And you still got to do the right thing. Always. Like, not for yourself, but for your other competitors too. And for the people coming up. So it was really cool to like hear Seth's perspective on that. And a lot of the other anglers feel that way, So it was really cool to hear that. Like I text you all the time after a podcast, say, loved hearing that dude, because you're really good at pulling the realness out of the guys. And I don't think we always get to show that. So.
Well, thank you.
But
that's honestly what
compliments. So.
Well, no, I'm weirdo that way. I mean, I don't know, but
like when you just said a lot of folks in the industry are happy to see me make it. That makes me feel weird because I don't see that, but I have been very blessed to have a lot of friends in the industry. So I'm grateful.
No, a lot, and they were, and still are very happy, but it goes back to the same, like Seth, who you're just complimenting for being open. That was also not what he was when he first came. It's just such a weird, like it's and I don't even know how to explain it because if you pull a rookie aside, if I pull you aside and say, listen, relax, just be you. Yeah. None of this helps you be you. You know what I mean? Like it, but when and I think that one of the hardest things in life, I think you hit, in my opinion, the nail on the head with one of the smartest things in all of life, not just tournament fishing, but you can't keep judging yourself by what other people are doing. You know what I mean? Like, and people that do that are generally miserable. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're chasing an Elite Series dream, whether you're trying to be the head chef in a restaurant, whether you're trying to be the manager of a base, if be who your role is and you know what I mean? Like be thankful to be where you are.
Rather than you are. Yeah. Like we're our worst critics, dude. You know, the same thing. Like, and I just beat the crap out of myself. I'll be honest. Like, I don't know if a lot of people around, I mean, some of my close friends and obviously anglers, they know when you're doing bad, that you're getting near the bubble and what that may mean. But I don't think a lot of people knew. I didn't want people to know. Not that I'm hiding it, but I just don't think it's fair for me to be living my dream and show my miserableness when it's going on. Like that ain't our job. It's not what we're supposed to do. And but yeah, in my long time, I've just beaten the crap out of myself for 2 years. And I don't know, dude. It's like when I went home, I wouldn't even say I was sitting by the phone last year. Like I went home and knew like it was over for now. I was going to have to go back and requalify. Like and I think you're seeing this year, like if you go down the Angler of the Year list, there's some new guys in slumps. Like our sport is weird, man. Like dudes that household names are below me on the list right now. Like they never saw that coming. I never saw that coming, but it's so fragile. The competition is so stiff, and like your competition, like the thin line, dude, for like a few bites a day getting off, or a few bites you didn't get, or mechanically, like any little thing can lead you down a slump. So I don't know. I beat the hell out of myself though, dude, for being in a slump. And I get out on like the tour finally, like this is my time. And I just think behind closed doors is beating myself up. And like, if you're beating yourself up in anything in life, how the hell are you going to be a winner? Like until you believe in yourself, it don't matter. I had my wife in my ear every day telling me you're great, you can do great things. Today's going to be today. You're going to like, she's the most positive person on earth. Yet in my own mind, I still felt like, you know, I was just letting it all bleed into it. Where now, like, I don't know, I'll lose a fish. Like, who cares? I'll catch the next one. If I have a bad event, who cares? I'll do good in the next one. Like I don't know. It's just, but it's hard to explain. Like you could pull every rookie across and say, hey man, like there's a chance this may happen to you. But I just think there's certain parts, just life in general, you just have to accept you got to go through, like, you know, whatever it may be.
And at some point, some people need to realize too, this ain't easy. You know what I mean? Like you're literally,
Not at all.
I remember when Van Dam won, and I don't know if I've ever told this story on a podcast, but he won on Toledo Bend. That was his comeback win. Up to that point, everybody's like, Van Dam is never going to win again. You know, like
what was his slump? Like 3 years?
4 or 5 years, I think. It was 4 to, I think, yeah, like, and I mean, he still made the classic, you know, every one of those but one, you know, like he still was, several of those years he was in contention for Angler of the Year, and people were like, but he'll never win again. But it was just me and him. And it was late at night, and we had a few drinks, and ironically, his rental house, everybody had left, and it's just me and him, and he's won again. And I'm like, this is so weird that it's just me and Kevin hanging out here to celebrate. And we're like, let's make some steaks and we'll pour a drink. I go to reach in the cabinet to grab some drinks to make drinks with. And it was New Orleans Saints. It said who win, but like who dat, but who win or whatever on it. And I was like, how fitting it was. So we're drinking out of these things. And at one point in the night, he looks up at me, and we were just real quiet. We had talked about so much stuff, and we just got real quiet. And he's like, Mercer, this shit ain't easy. And to hear Kevin Van Dam say that, but it's like, true. Nobody says, like, it's a hard, you're trying to be one of the best. So in everything, like if you made it to Major League Baseball, I'm sure it's the same thing where you're like, you know, I didn't have a hard time in high school. I didn't have a hard time in college, but now all of a sudden these guys are a whole lot better. And I think that people just don't accept as much that you can be totally prepared and everything, but it's still a learning process to learn how to, like to come off a bad event and put it behind you and move on to the next one and be fresh. It's easy to say that on paper. You could write that all down, but to actually do that,
and like
not easy.
When I was having those bad events after each event, like leading to the next one, I did all those things. Just like, I'm like, all right, no big deal. Bad week. Next week's the week. But I don't know. There'd still be that little voice in there and be like, you suck. You're going to lose your next bite. You're never going to catch another fish until you just let go. It's like that, you know, that scene in Fight Club when he makes him let go of the steering wheel. That's what I feel like. Or a couple of years ago, I did well in an event at Rayburn, a Toyota event, and like left the ramp. And I don't do this. I'm kind of a planner. Like I'm a thinker. Like I like to have a plan. And I leave going to this. I'm going to go left and go up the lake. And I start going. And I had this, like, I call it my Carrie Underwood moment, like Jesus take the wheel, where I'm like, dude, a couple of weeks ago, you caught him over here. Just go try it. And like go over and like catch the crap out of them, have a good event, I think finish top 5 or something, which anytime you do that over there against all those little boys, those hammers, like done good.
Yeah.
But having enough of those moments where you're just like, you got to let go. It's not that you don't care. You said, you see it in my eye. I think everybody sees it in most of the anglers, but I feel like times I carry it more than others. Like I want this so bad for myself and for everyone else that has been on my team, you know, like I just so badly want them to have joy and success along with myself. but when you go out there and compete, you just got to let it go. I don't know. It's so hard, dude. If you could pin it down or make a recipe for it, then everybody would do it. And I probably would be off the tour. Everybody be kicking my butt even worse. So let's not solve the problem. Let them figure it out on their own.
And the truth of the problem is, dude, it never gets solved. It doesn't matter who you are. Because if I was a genie and I could grant you a wish, and I said, I will give you Darold Swindle's career, one of your good friends, you'd be like, where do I sign up? What do I have to?
Yeah.
You know how bad Darold Swindle wants to win an Elite Series event? You know what I mean? Like, when he wins one, he's going to, the second he walks off the stage is so gross. Like, I remember when Christie won the Classic, I walked to the press room. And by the time he literally had hardly held the trophy. He hasn't even looked at the trophy. He's just held it and been in pictures, hasn't had a chance to look at it. And people are like, how many do you think he's going to win, Dave? Is this another KVD run we're seeing? I'm like, he just won his first one. Like, it's just a weird.
It is. But dude, it's competition. Like, all of us are out here.
Yeah.
I mean, it don't matter what we're competing in. And like, I've heard stories about Kevin, how competitive he is and everything. Hey, can I share a quick Kevin story?
Yes, you can do what you want. This is your show.
So, the big split, I guess at the end of 18 season. So going into the 19 Classic at Knoxville, that was going to be his last Classic. Kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So I won my Open on Toledo about 2 weeks before that. So as many Classics, I go up and I'm working for dynamic sponsorships, like in the booths and stuff. The night before the first night of competition, we're eating at Tupelo Honey, me and my wife and another friend of ours, and in comes Kevin and his wife and their little entourage, some sponsors and things. And I see when he comes in, he kind of sees me across the room, and like, just being around this world, we've met a few times, but we're not buddies. We're not close friends. I had a cell phone number in my phone and had never used it one time. I had it from like a media event or something. He gave me his number in case I needed to like find where he was. But he walks in that event or walks into Tupelo Honey and like happens to see me there. I'm probably like, oh my God, it's Kevin. And he'd give me the Kevin, what's up, bro? One of those. My cup's filled, right? Kevin acknowledged my existence. Really cool. And I saw him sit down and like he whispers something to Sherry. And then he kind of backs his chair up and stands up. And I'm like beating my wife to death. Like, here comes Kevin. Oh God, he's walking this way. And he walked over, dude. And this is the night before what could be his last Classic. I mean, you never know what the future is going to hold. But he competes the next morning. Think how badly he wanted to win that event. Like, and he just come over and took 20 seconds, congratulating me on my win. Because that was the biggest thing in my career, the class of that guy. Like, that's the stuff that really sets the bar to me for all of us other ones that he is leaving the torch to as he retires this year. We're not super good buds or anything, dude. And he just took the time because he knew that. I think everyone knew that moment, how big that was for me, and like, I mean, like I literally, like after he walked off, I sit down and my wife's like, "You gonna cry?" I probably had tears. I'm like, not in front of everybody, but like I might tonight, my pillow. But like, dude, how cool. I would love to be that guy for someone one day.
Yeah.
Like I would love to be that. Not the winner, not the badass watch, like all those, but like the guy that just took a few seconds to like build someone up in that moment. Like, that's his Kevin story I always tell. Like, I got to see him this year at the Classic. He bumped into us one night. We were closing down the hotel bar facilities one evening, and him and Sherry were coming back, and he stopped and we had a drink together. And I got to kind of relive that with him. Of course, he's so modest. He's like, yeah, no big deal, Daryl, like whatever. But he knows. I wanted him to know how special that was. That's one of those few moments in my life that like, you're like, wow, dude, that guy,
Yeah.
So,
he is that guy. He's it's pretty incredible. I mean, if you watch him work, like when he did his retirement deal, like, I mean, announcement, and I got asked to say things in a lot of different, and I was an idiot. Like, I just couldn't think of what to say because most people when they retire, you can pick one thing, you know what I mean? You can say, man, this guy taught the whole world how to do this. This guy taught the whole world how to, but Kevin's taught us all how to like everything. Like he reinvented how people tournament fish. He, you know what I mean? Like he made speed his game, which was never a thing. And he showed everyone how to do the TV end of things. He showed everyone how to do the, you know, the trade show end of things. He's like, if you watch him at a trade show, that's how you should be at a trade show. You don't see him in any of those circles of people just standing around talking. He's working. Like, it's just amazing. Like,
I've seen him at Riders Conference.
yeah,
he was the best. He was one of the best at that too. Like, you know, there's 15 pros there and a bunch of riders and camera folks, and they're taking pictures. So like, I think at the time he had just got sponsored by a clothing company. So he's literally got a cardboard box with the different shirts. So he gets up on front of his boat and he's like casting, doing his look away, you know, and they're like doing pictures. He jumps down, changes shirts, puts on a different color shirt, right back to it. Like he just never needed any direction. So who would your guy be? Who is that to you? Like Kevin doing that to me, and like now being friends with like Swindle. Like when I won the Open, Swindle come to my house that night. We were not super close friends at that time, but when I come off stage, he shook my hand and says, I have to do this a lot. I got to shake a lot of winners' hands. It means more when it's one of the good guys. And again, that was one of those moments to me, like I almost want to push a trophy down and jump in his arms and let him run away with, like, that was so special. Who's your guy?
It's all those guys, dude. Like, I don't think that there's one. Like Kevin, before me and Kevin were as close of friends as we were, you know, like every time Kevin would ever call you, like anytime his number pops up on the phone, I'm like, holy. But I mean, I think it's all those guys.
Was there an announcer? Like
an announcer? Well, when Ray Scott, Ray Scott, when I first started the job at Bass, Ray Scott was incredibly kind to me. Like literally took it on himself to reach out to me, to get my number, to call me, to talk to me about. So like any of the feedback I ever got from Ray Scott is, I mean, he's like, I've always called him and Bob Cobb the chicken that laid the egg. They are, and still to this day, Bob Cobb is a very close friend of mine. And so whenever you hear stuff from people like that, it's always, you know,
it kind of melts you a little bit, you know. It's like, I don't know. It's just special. Yeah. So like those are guys that like I emulated my career after, like before this ever became my career, when it was my dream. And like, I think that's where I get some of my keep it real stuff. Cause you know, like you see the guys get on stage and spout out, I ran my Phoenix Yamaha over the lake today and I threw my da-da-da-da. I don't know. I just always want to use my time to either talk about something funny that happened or something going on in life or like what, I don't know. It just seems like those, obviously Darold is the very best. I don't know how he fishes all day. Like, cause he doesn't think that stuff up. You've been around him socially. Like it's not like he sits and writes material down. He just spouts it out at all times. I think you have that gift a little bit too, with some of the stuff like you can just do off the cuff, but like he's the best at that. But I don't know. Those are the guys like early on when I was fishing club tournaments and, you know, like dreaming and dude, reading every Bassmaster I could, watching every show, like all that. Those are the guys that I was looking up to. And now to like, you know, I considered Darold to be one of my very good friends on tour, you know, like, it's just hard to like soak all that in. Like if you could, 41-year-old Darold could talk to 30-year-old Darold and say like, one day, you know, you wouldn't have took this for it all. So I guess some of that too, to go like to talk about where I'm at mentally, like when you look at some of that, where you are in life, you know, quit whining about it and being a little girl, man. Like it's not all bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, and no matter what happens in your life, no matter if you go on to win 5 Bassmaster Classics and hold the all-time record,
yeah,
or whatever direction it goes,
right,
you always got to remember you're going to look back at all of these days. Yeah. Like these are the good old, like, and it's weird. Like you probably have seen through my social media and for the last 5, 6, 7 years, I always put a hashtag enjoy being, because I found myself doing the same thing. Like life was coming at me so quick. You know what I mean? Like, I was very lucky. I got to do a TV show. It was a dream. It was a dream to be part of Bass. Now I'm doing that, and I'm getting to do all this stuff. But life is almost getting force fed at you. And I remember like thinking, like, somebody asked me what I think of when I look out at the crowd at the Classic. And I remember at an event, and I remember giving an answer because it was in an interview. But I remember afterwards thinking, I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't know. Like, I don't take a minute to stop and look around. And that's where like Enjoy Being came from. Because enjoy being where you are, because I would spend so much time thinking about the next, you know what I mean? Like, I got to get to the next event, or I got to get to the, like, enjoy where you are, because where you are is where you always wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like,
like, I want to grab every one of the young guys that comes out and say, live, like, oh, dude, this is fragile. Like, we talked a little bit about how tough the competition is. You're 2 bad years of a slump away from having to go back.
Yeah.
And look, man, like, the open field, like, I got tons of friends there, and I'm still doing a division this year as well. But like, that's not ever at any point in the foreseeable future going to get any easier, no matter what format they choose, whether you fish one division or all 9, any of that stuff. Doesn't matter what Bass decides there. It's always going to be brutally hard. I qualified in one division. It was brutal, dude. Like, I had like some of the best days of my life just to squeak in. Like, it's very hard. So again, like, why not beat myself up for 2 years? Like, you know, like, why was I so hard on myself? Like, why go through that? But such is life. You got to live and learn.
Yeah.
But I mean, the stuff is not easy. And when Kevin Van Dam can say it's not easy, like, it's not easy. But dude, that's just like why I like honor and revere some of the guys in the sport that make it look easy. Like Palaniuk makes it. He does not look. Now, I get to see how long he practices. The dude works his butt off. Like, he's always the last one in the campground, like certain guys are. But some guys are so good, they truly make it look easy.
Yeah.
Not even easy for them. When you pin them up in the corner at the end of their career, they're going to tell you, no, it wasn't easy, dude. Like, it is incredibly hard. Every aspect of it is. So, I don't know. I'm not going to beat myself up anymore. I'm very excited with 3 events to go, even though they're smallmouth events. I don't have a ton of history in smallmouth world to just have a shot. I'm on that bubble to make the Classic, and I mean, I want to get it done, dude.
Have you put more work into the figuring out the smallmouth thing this year, or is that just like, how do you, when you said you're not a big smallmouth guy, how do you fix that?
Yeah. I think what I'm doing right now, like presently, I'm doing a couple days at Champlain, a couple days at St. Lawrence, and I'm mixing up between scouting for where I think they may be in a month, and just like yesterday's first day on the water, I just caught some, dude.
Yeah.
I just wanted to catch a few. You don't often people I don't think understand how few times professional fishermen go fun fishing, like just to catch fish. We're always practicing for a tournament, scouting for a tournament, fishing a tournament, working on the technique. And I actually launched yesterday with full aspect of doing those things. And then I saw one shallow, like right by the ramp. I'm like, let's just fish a little while. And then like 2 hours later, let's just keep fishing, man. This is kind of fun. Like, just catching them. So no, just doing that, like, just more time on the water, catching them. And it's not just time on the water, it's quality time. Like, that's the big, like, really working with my forward sonar game, working with all my tackle, like all those little things. Like, I can't, in the next 2 months, can't quantify how much time Seth Fight or the Johnstons have smallmouth fishing. I can't make up that gap, right? Like, that ain't gonna happen. But I can be better than what I've been. And that's really all I'm trying to do, is be better. Just keep getting better.
Everybody that I know that's cracked or feels like they have made big steps in the smallmouth game, it comes down to one thing. And I think it's one thing that everybody overlooks. It's literally time. Like, you need to go. And I'm not talking about time about pre-fishing, idling around, trying to find that secret nugget. I'm like, you need to go where the best smallmouth bass fishing happens at the best time of year and catch 100 fish a day, every day for a dozen days. You know what I mean? And I say the same thing to people when they say, because you almost have to disrespect that fish. Like if you watch the Johnsons or fighter, when they're fighting a fish, dude, there's no time given to that fish. Very little do they spend a lot of time, walking that fish around the boat and stuff like that. But it's the same thing that the advantage you have when we go to Toledo Bend, like you've seen a lot of 8-pounders in your life. You've been on a boat with a lot of 7, 8, 9, 10-pound fish in your life. That's how the northern guys crack the code on going down south too. You know what I mean? Like it's literally, I think it's just
live down there and make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you seem like a lot of the dudes are doing it now, coming up north in the summer. Like for where I live, it's super hot. It's always hard to leave Toledo Bend though. Like there was an event there this weekend. It took a team event, 2 days, took 57 pounds to win. Like,
wow.
It's just always good. Even when it's bad, it's still so good. But I feel like coming up here, my wife loves coming up because the weather's so wonderful, even though it's raining now, but it's fun. It's like a new challenge. It's fun. And I've come up and smallmouth fish now a couple summers, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I've had mixed success. I've got a few checks, had a few bad ones. So it's just like everything else. It's a challenge, all about getting better. But I agree. I do think just catching their little butts over and over and over. To me, the hardest thing when you come up here is you can go have a good day and catch 50, 60 fish and weigh 17 and a half pounds and be in 70th, like St. Lawrence last year, I had 18 on day one and I'm like 76th. Talking afterwards and my wife's like, what's your plan for tomorrow? I'm like, scrap everything I've done and go look for a big one. Like, it's a thin line up here, like on the weights. Like they're so tight, dude. They're so tight. The difference in a 3 1/4 pounder and a 3 3/4 pounder is like 10 points.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And for me, I'm one of those weirdos too. Like a lot of the dudes are like, they'd be happy if we practice one day. If Bass said, hey, you can practice for 3 weeks straight, I'd go daylight to dark for 3 weeks straight. Like I love prepping and practice time. Like, I don't know. I like to be methodical with it and all that. That's never going to happen. We're never going to get 3 weeks of practice. So I'm still trying to teach myself how to accelerate everything and learn as much. But I love doing this stuff. I love going and playing. And, like most of my days in my life have been spent either with a guide customer or a friend in a team tournament or a marshal. It's still so rare to just, turn on my little radio and go fishing, like,
yeah.
It's fun. Like I enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah. Look, but I think you also pointed out why it goes so bad for some Southern pros when they come north, because it's easy to take for granted. You know what I mean? You go pre-fishing and you get 18 pounds and you're like, well, when I expand on this area, it'll be 22. And, and then you weigh in 19 pounds, even more than you caught, and you're still nowhere near the cut. And it's a little demoralizing.
It can be to catch that many. Cause I don't know down south. I can't think of a tournament this year. I mean, the next 3 tournaments, I think the whole field, barring mechanical or whatever, like everyone will probably have limits every day.
Yeah, man, for the most
give or
part.
take. Now, I don't want to be the guy that comes in short of that, but I'm just saying you catch them when you come north. So it can be demoralizing to go out and like catch them up pretty good and be like, yeah, that's a good day. Be right there near the top 50 and you're nowhere near it. So I think a lot of it though is just, it's so different up here, dude. Smallmouth bass are not largemouth bass. They're different little, they just are. And so I don't know. I enjoy the process of it. It's fun. It's cool to get up here and snatch on a few. The other part too, man, like even working on landing them little suckers. You know what I'm saying? Like of course I'm playing, like I'm trying like new hooks this year. I'm working with a new hook company a little bit. So like trying new hook styles, sizes, lines, like all those little small things. And then you get the little punks of the boat and you got to get them in without a net. And I've been lucky. I've done well with it, but still, I want to do it more and get comfortable. Like yesterday, I made myself catch a few on a jerk bait just so I can get, it's, you know what I mean? Like, they don't stop. So just practicing. I'm trying to practice all that as much as I can before the events start. Like you talked about on Toledo Bend, I'm catching all those big ones. Like I've passed that on to some customers when they catch a 3-pounder and they're like horse whipping it to the boat. I'm like, hey, especially if I get a young person in the boat, I'm like, slow down and fight it some. Like, get comfortable fighting that fish. So when you hook an 8-pounder, the process slows down, because most big fish get lost at the boat. Like, almost when you get your hand on them. And it's generally because we get them to the boat, like, pissed off, like they're mad. So like, I have to remind myself with smallmouth, like, slow down, take your time. But it's fun. Like, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go back out and yank on some more, dude. Like,
it's smallmouth are weird though. Like, when you think about it, it's almost like they were designed in a video game, like Mike Tyson Punch Out. So you beat this guy. Now for the last 3 events, we're gonna go north. And we're going to catch a bass, but it's going to fight harder. And its mouth is going to be even smaller. And you're probably going to use a bait with even more hooks and make it even more challenging.
It's kind of a torturous way to finish off the season, because, like, you look forward to it at one point. At the other point, you're like, well, dude, at like the last event, St. Lawrence, if it's below 30, you going to go out there on that big water? Because, like, I was trying to explain to a buddy, like, Toledo Bend is in the south. Toledo Bend is
it gets rough
body, and it gets rough. It's a big body of water. Like, I couldn't even tell you what little portion of Ontario it would be. Chameau Bay, maybe. Like, those lakes are so enormous. It could be calm where you're at and below 10 miles an hour in Buffalo, 200 miles away or something, and it can, like, be vicious where you're at. So all those are factors you got to learn and get comfortable with. You know what I mean? So.
What has the Swindle relationship meant to you as a competitor?
Man, a lot. Like, he's another guy too. Like, people see the funny, charismatic, they see how passionate he is. Like, everybody knows how bad he wants to win. And like some of my low times, dude, he didn't know what to say. I could tell, like, he wanted me to do better. Obviously, he didn't know what to say. There's nothing he could say to get me out of it. Like, the fact that he was just there. My phone didn't ring a lot the last 2 years, lots of folks, and that stayed steady. So that's been a special friendship. Him, like, we both travel. Our wives are pretty close too. We have a lot of similarities. We have puppies that we love. So there's something special about that. Like, I think a lot of that I'll look down in the future and really appreciate that, like how close. And he has tons of friends in the fishing industry. I have quite a few, and I'm blessed to have them, but it means a lot, dude. Like, he hasn't taken on like a mentorship role. Like, I feel like big brother, little brother kind of role, but you see and learn through osmosis being around him, like how he manages his life, how he manages the business side of fishing. But if I had to share with anybody anything about Swindle, it's that he has a bigger heart than people realize, dude. Like, it was hard for me. He done the rules video a couple weeks ago or a month ago now. Like, reading through the comments, seeing not very many, but even seeing anyone disagree or rag on him or whatever, like, pissed me off to see that, because he's one of the few anglers to me that when he talks about the overall, whether it's rules or anglers or anything, he looks big perspective. So, like, if we're voting on a rule or something, he looks at how does this affect everyone, not just me. And look, this is a greedy world we live in, dude, out here. Like, a lot of the guys, the first thing I feel like, how would this rule affect me if I choose this? Or how would it affect me if I choose that? And I would actually lump Palaniuk into that too, and Carl, like, and there's probably more that I don't know. But a lot of the anglers, the first thing you do is like, how does it affect me? And Gerald's never that way. Never. He wants to see our sport flourish. And he's probably at the point of his career where he can see the finish line. So he's not necessarily doing it for selfish reasons. But the biggest thing, like, people don't get to see enough is his heart, dude. Like, he's just one of the best dudes. And he happens to be really damn funny too, like, on and off the water, on the mic, all that. But his heart, like, see him and his wife together. That's his person, dude. But just him being there the last couple of years, he never knew what to say. Like, we hadn't even talked about it. And we didn't talk about when I was sucking. It wasn't like he was trying to give me advice on, hey, here's how you quit sucking. But he would slip things in there, like, turn those 85ths into 60 and do that 2 or 3 times a season, you'll see where you're at. He kind of done some of that with Carl as well. Carl's, had a rough go of it at times and is, like always bounce back. Like, so yeah. And again, like when you're choosing your friends, you feel like sometimes you see anglers like buddying up who are doing well, like having success, and they like kind of form these little, I call them junior high groups, like junior high girl popular groups. And I don't feel like Gerald's that kind of guy. Like if he likes you, you know where you stand with him. So yeah, it kind of bothered me when I was seeing, even though it wasn't many people, just some people like saying really negative personal things. Like it sucks. They don't know, because you share your opinion on stuff, but dude, this, people can be nasty, man.
Oh yeah, they can.
Especially in social media. Like last year I posted a TikTok. There was a trending TikTok of like where you're running by your vehicle, like rushing to get somewhere. And we did something like in South Dakota. I had like some baits in my hand and my dog, and like we're running to the next event because we had one the next week. And like someone, you could tell like they had waited. Of course, they're like user 187945. They don't have a name.
Always.
But it's like they waited their whole life to get me. And they're like, yeah, that's you running off the Elite Series. I'm like, bro, come on. So I just like, I don't know. I just never want to be that person that's like so low in life. I'm looking to like cut someone down. But I'm not perfect or any of that. I'm not saying that. But like, I don't know, man. When someone's going through something so brutal, like what joy did that bring you to, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. So when I saw that stuff, I'm like, I had to refrain myself from going on there and like, stop. No, you need to know the person. He's the kind of person that if he knew you were the person, if you were John Doe that was saying, you're an idiot for saying this or whatever, you're a sorry person, I hate your guts. And then the next day he saw you broke down on the side of the road, he'd stop and change your tire. Like he would do anything for anybody. So it's hard when you care about someone, you see that junk, but you just have to understand in the world of social media, people can be a little nasty at times, but there's too many good folks in the world to dwell on that stuff too much. But
yeah,
Daryl's a good one. You know that. You know him personally enough to know he's one of the good ones, dude.
Oh, he is. And one of the things that stands out for me about him is exactly what you talked about, not just his heart, but if you look at, like, I've seen all different kinds of Geralds over the years, you know what I mean? Like, but I think this is the best Gerald just because he just really cares. Like the amount of time he spends with young anglers and stuff and has like it's really unique to see, and it's very cool to see. And
I just think it's special because it's selfless, and this is not a career where it's easy to be a selfless person. You need to focus on your business, catching them, like all your stuff, and there's just he's pouring into a lot of anglers doing something he don't have to do. So like I said, it wasn't like he necessarily like sits me down and talks to me, but just his friendship has meant a lot to me, because this can be a lonely world out here when you're not doing well. So that's something I'll always be appreciative of. And even like Lulu and my wife getting to be friends, like, there's things that Lulu has seen through his career that she's able to relate to my wife a little bit and helps. But mostly, dude, it's just about the friendship. Like,
yeah,
whether it's Gerald Swindle or whoever, when you have like-minded folks you get to spend your time with, like, that's kind of what this, the little hourglass on earth, that's where you want to spend it. Right. I mean,
yeah. It, I think you're spending your time in the hourglass pretty good, dude. I mean, to me, I know you're a good competitor. You're always going to have goals, and you should always have goals. But dude, we've spent a little time talking here, and I know you see it, but dude, you've checked a lot of the boxes in life. Like really, like if you want to look at having a happy life, you've checked a lot of the right boxes. You get things.
Been very fortunate, dude. And I don't know where that came from. I think some of it come from falling in love with the girl that I fell in love with. Like, she was literally told she wouldn't live to be 6 or wouldn't live to be 12 or wouldn't go to prom. Like, like, I don't know, live with someone, love with someone like that. That's real stuff there. So like, perspective's easy. Again, I'm 41. we're going to celebrate our 19th anniversary now in November. If you'd have told me the biggest problem in my life is whether or not I'm going to make the Bassmaster Classic or whether or not I'm going to stay on the elites, or you would take those problems in a heartbeat, dude. So,
Good problems to have. Good
blessed.
problems to have.
Hope everybody starts soaking life in a little bit more. It goes by too fast, dude. We sound like a bunch of old codgers on it, but it does. I just want everybody to enjoy those, because you can't buy time, dude. And that's all I want, is as much as I can with the people I love, dude. Like, it's the one thing on earth you can't buy. I think that all of us, at some point in your life, you're going to wish you had more of it, right? So
Always. And it's never going to be all the crap that that people think. Like, man, I wish I made another $100,000. No, nobody. I mean, people with the most money in the world, Steve Jobs died. Like, money you can make more of, but time is everything. And
it's just so dicey, like, because we want it all. Like, we're built as humans to be, we are, but I don't know. In the end, that's what I want. And I want to catch a lot of bass along the way and kick a lot of butt too on the way and enjoy the time.
I never end up being that guy making a horrible comment on some stranger's social about.
Yeah.
Dude, I respond all the time to those. Like, I hope you get a hug today. Because it's not you. You're pissed off because you failed a test, you get dumped by a girl, whatever it was. But it's
whatever it was. Like, I felt like whoever that was, like, I don't know. I made them mad a long time ago, and I'm not perfect. Maybe some people are mad at me now, but I don't know. I wouldn't. It's like, God, you held that in for this moment. Like, come on, dude. And I just deleted it, moved on. But I don't know. And I'm not perfect in some of the things I do in life. I get that. But I don't know. I hope whoever that was woke up the next day and had a better day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And dude, I mean, sometimes you also got to thank those people, because I don't know about you, but you know how weird I am when anybody compliments me. But you want to motivate me? Tell me how much I suck. I mean, there is no better motivation on earth than to tell me I suck. So
yeah. Like, it's just weird, the things that motivate you in life makes you get up a little more angry. You know what I'm saying? Let's just leave that at that.
Dude, I asked you one thing before we started this. I said, just be real and be honest. And I think you definitely delivered that. And I think a lot of people got to see a side of you that they may not have seen previously. And it's one of my favorite sides of you. You're an incredible human being, dude.
I always appreciate that, dude. And more than anything, appreciate you having me on. Like, I get to listen, to your podcast all the time. And I do listen to a few others. I cheat on you. I listen to 4 or 5.
It's fine. It's a lot of great podcasts. I mean, there's a lot of, believe it or not, I listen to other podcasts too.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think it's cool to get to know not just the guys I compete against, just everyone in this industry. It's a small world, dude. So, when you asked me to come on, I'm like, sure, I won't go fishing on Champlain today. I'd love to do it, but I just grateful to be in this life where we're at in this world, and I don't know, enjoyed this with you, man. Hope we get to chat soon on the weighing stage.
Let's do it. Go fishing. Is the rain stopped now yet?
Stopped enough.
All right.
I'm gonna go.
He's going fishing.
Well, if you ask me, that is a dude that doesn't just get fishing. He gets life. And I wish Darold Gleason nothing but luck the rest of the season and his entire career. And I thank him for being so open and so honest. And I thank you guys for tuning in here. Now get back to those iCast videos. I know you can't get enough of them. Enjoy Bean. Have a great week. And take it away, Bob Cobb.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?